me score a touchdown. Now his entire family wants to buy me Bud Lights. I think I'm some kind of a football prophet. Talk soon. The team needs me.
Anything for Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Stock up today. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Do you have an IRS tax problem that's keeping you up at night? Stop worrying and start learning how to fix it. Join Todd from Advanced Tax Solutions for a free workshop on the 7 ways to fix a tax problem on Wednesday, October 8th at 5:30 and get answers. When will the taxes expire? It's possible this could just go away. Could you settle with the IRS for less than you owe? Get free advice, a plan, and a licensed pro guiding you. To sign up for this free workshop, call 303-753-6040.
Are joint pain or injuries keeping you from living your best life? I'm Dr. Joel Cherdak with Denver Regenerative Medicine. We don't believe in one size fits all. Instead, we create personalized stem cell treatment plans using your own stem cells or donor cells to help regenerate joints, repair torn muscles and ligaments, and restore mobility. For a limited time, get 10% off through October. Don't wait. Book your free consultation now at denverregen.com. That's denverregen.com.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 720-405-3300. That's 720-405-3300.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with national LTE coverage. Go to rapidradios.com and you'll get up to 60% off free UPS shipping. Add code RADIO for an additional 5% off.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports from your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Wednesday night in the Mile High City. He's Dante Gomez. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour as the Broncos are fast asleep across the pond in London. Had media availability about 8 this morning. Very early for them in terms of our time, but of course they kept their normal schedule. Mid-afternoon type practice over there as they get ready to face the winless, pathetic, hapless New York Jets. I think we're officially starting to turn the page to the game on Sunday. And Dante, obviously, I had a lot of fun with Zach and Phil before week 2 in Indy. It kind of blew up in my face, sort of poo-pooing the Colts. But I may double down. I don't really have a big problem with anyone poo-pooing the Jets. They're a bad football team. And what have the Broncos done with Sean Payton and Bo Nix? They've beaten bad football teams. Not only have they beaten them, they've beaten them pretty handily. Is there any reason at all to be scared of this game, the old quote-unquote trap game for the Broncos?
So I do agree with you. The Jets are a bad football team, but they're not dead. They're not dead yet. They competed in a lot of their games this year. Could have won week 1 against the Steelers. Could have won week 3 against the Bucs. Could have won. Yeah, like they were in that Jets-Dolphins game as well. So you got to put them to bed. I'll put it that way. They will show up and fight. But if you give them, a good first half, I think the Broncos should be good at that point.
Yeah, but I just heard Phil on my drive in talking about, hey, I've been on some bad teams, and you get to a point in the season where you're 0-5. You get to go to London. You're looking at it as more of a vacation than anything else. He's spot on. They're not going to make the playoffs. You say they're not dead. They're on life support in my eyes, just in terms of this season. I would be shocked if an 0-5 team has ever made the playoffs, especially an 0-5 team with this little talent. I said to start the show, the Broncos are fast asleep. I firmly believe that. You could tell me the Jets aren't fast asleep at this very moment in time. I think London's, 7 hours ahead of us, so it's 1 in the morning over there. I would not be surprised at all if there's New York Jets players out enjoying the nightlife at this very moment, and the Broncos are taking the game seriously. I don't know, man. I get now in retrospect the Colts. Daniel Jones has been resurrected, obviously. Jonathan Taylor's still a great player. Tylen Warren's a tough guard. They have weapons on offense. Outside of Garrett Wilson, the Jets just don't really have anyone that scares you. I understand where you're coming from. You don't want to chalk up anything to a dub, but I also think come Sunday afternoon, not even, Sunday morning, 10:30, 11, if this game's even competitive in the fourth quarter, I would be surprised. I would guess, I don't want to speak for you, you'd probably be surprised as well if Broncos country is sweating this thing out as brunch is starting in a few days here.
I might surprise you then. I see it being one possession in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
The London games are weird. There's no real home field advantage there. It's quiet, and I just feel like you see weird upsets happen all the time over there. And you mentioned that the Broncos are fast asleep. Maybe they're sleeping on the Jets a little bit. Maybe you're sleeping on the Jets a little bit. Justin Fields is still playing for his career at this point. I get that there is no playoffs in their future this season, but Aaron Glenn is a first-year coach. He's trying to set a certain standard of that franchise. And like I said, Justin Fields, he's trying to get a payday and be the Jets quarterback of the future at this point. So I think there's still a lot to play for over there. And like I said, they're just not dead. You got to give them that knockout punch. If the Broncos go up 20-0 in this game, yeah, I'll call it at that point. But as long as the Jets have a fighting chance, I imagine it being a one-possession game in the fourth.
Interesting, because the reason I think it'll be a blowout is because what did the Broncos do to the Cincinnati Bengals a couple weeks ago? They blew them out 28-3. Even going back to last year, the Chiefs played their JV team. The Broncos won 38-0. They played the Colts here. I understand Jonathan Taylor had the fumble, but Indy was kind of falling off the tracks, getting out of the playoff race. They won by 18 points. They beat the Falcons last year by 32 points. They beat the Panthers up big, where Sean Payton got into the little scrap with J.C. Horn. Play better if you don't want us to try to run up the score in this game. So I think the evidence in my eyes sort of points toward the Broncos. Yeah, we all can be really frustrated they haven't finished close games. Luckily, that narrative's starting to change based on what they did against the Eagles. But no one can be all that frustrated in terms of one of the hallmarks of Sean and Bo as a tandem. What are we, 21, 22 games in? They beat teams they're supposed to beat. They don't gag a lot of games against bad football teams. I can't really think of one that they've gagged against a bad football team. Now, they did it in the rush year, Sean's first year here in 2023. But since we've gone with this QB head coach combo, they have beat up on the teams they should beat up on.
No, and I agree. I'll put it this way. I'm putting Broncos money line in some parlays. I don't know if I'm willing to take the spread.
All right. Well, I think some people were fearful of the spread against the Bengals, which was a similar number, and the Broncos covered with ease. Do you think there could be the quote-unquote hangover of the Philly win? And that brings us to an interesting point of, is it almost better that they're together in London as a group? Didn't get to come home to Denver and have everyone tell them how great they are. They just got on a plane, immediately flew over the Atlantic Ocean and woke up in London. It might be good that they're not listening to the radio, reading the press clippings, all that, staying humble, if you will, after clearly the biggest win this franchise has had in a handful of years, if not since Super Bowl 50.
Yeah, I think being over there definitely helps. Obviously, a lot of team camaraderie, chemistry can be built over there. You're spending pretty much your entire time with them. There's no going home to, hang out with your kids or your wife or your family, whatever it is. So I think that definitely helps. But I think they're seeing what you're seeing. They're playing an 0-5 Jets, and I think you get a little ahead of yourself when you see that 0-5 next to the Jets team. When you add some context to it, like I said, they should have beat the Bucs, and the Bucs are a very good team. So just not dead yet, and I hope the Broncos aren't overlooking the 0-5 team.
Yeah, and Sean and Bo said all the right things today. There's no such thing as a trap game. These are professionals. We'll hear from those two as the show goes on. I get all that.
But real quick, even the fact that they're saying that means that they're somewhat overlooking the Jets.
Well, I'm sure that's come up in team meetings. Because it's kind of easy talking points to repeat at press conferences.
Absolutely,
right?
But the fact that they're bringing it up in team meetings is already saying that the Jets are a lesser than opponent.
I get it, but also they don't work in sports talk radio. They don't get to talk about what Chell and I talked about last night. Broncos could be 6-2. They could be 7-2. They could be 8-2. We're not the ones that have to go play on Sunday. We're not the ones that have to go coach on Sunday. So I understand why the team themselves can't get ahead of themselves, but I also understand why the fan base and all of us can start sort of salivating at the possibilities of this is a really easy stretch coming up.
No, but I'm saying the team is getting ahead of themselves.
How?
When were they saying there's no easy opponent when they were facing the Eagles? When they're going to face the Eagles last week?
No, because the Eagles were 4-0 and the Jets are 0-5. It's just night and day the opponent this week.
That's my point, though, is you don't say there is no easy opponent when you're facing an actual good team. And when you're locked in and when you know that there's a good opponent on the other side.
Right, but do you want them to get up there today in front of hot microphones and go, the Jets suck? We're going to kill them.
No, but
they can't say that. They can't do that.
They basically are saying that without saying it.
the old, by saying it's not a trap game, they're acknowledging it's a trap game.
Exactly.
That's what you're getting at.
Exactly. The fact that, they weren't calling the Eagles game a trap game. They weren't calling the Chargers game a trap game.
Because they would have looked silly. Every NFL fan knows that the Eagles are a really good team. The Chargers are a pretty darn good team. And every NFL fan knows that Roger Goodell's got probably a 50% chance of saying with the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL draft, the New York Jets select. I mean, that's just how this is trending. We're only 5 games in, but we have enough of a sample size to know how many games are the Jets going to win? 2, 3, 4? It's going to be a really bad year in New York or I guess New Jersey.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets are very good, but just them acknowledging the fact that, there is no trap game, there is no easy game, means that they're already in that mindset of thinking that the Jets are an easy win.
All right, well, let's hear from Sean Payton then, and we can dissect this a little more because you and I are on different pages on this one.
No, each week it's the ability to refocus on the next challenge, and I think oftentimes the games are won and lost right here today, tomorrow, and Friday. These guys understand in our league it's different than college. We're not getting a chance to play a 1AA or FCS school. These are all professional teams, and we'll handle it that way.
Yeah, they're not playing Northwestern Arkansas State this week. That's not the team on the schedule. But if there was a Northwestern Arkansas State of the NFL, it may be the New York Jets. I guess here's where I'll give you a little pushback. It feels like the Broncos couldn't win with you today based on what they said. Because what did you want them to say that you don't think they're taking the Jets seriously? How could Sean have handled this? How could Bo have handled this for the Broncos to feel like they're putting in the proper energy to those mighty New York Jets?
I mean, I think you could have just left out the fact that the FCS aspect of it. If you would have just said, hey, it's going to take a good week of practice to beat this team. Something like that, which is what Sean started with.
Wait. We're going to channel our inner Vance Joseph, which everyone could not stand during his tenure here. They're giving him 50 burgers left and right, and he's going up there going, well, we had a good week of practice. I mean, in Broncos country was to the point where they're like, if we hear good week of practice one more time, we riot. And Vance just kept doing it week after week after week. I see what you're getting at, though. Good week of practice still triggers me from the VJ years.
Yeah, and that's fair. But I think that's what, coaches and quarterbacks speak. That's why there's that phrase of coach speak and quarterback speak. Because that's what you're supposed to say. You're not even supposed to have the idea. They basically said that the Jets are an FCS team or a 1AA team.
Well, they kind of look like it. I get it. They played the Bucks close, but they also got boat raced by the Bills, and they got boat raced by the Cowboys as recently as last week. You got Jerry up there throwing double birds, or I guess single bird, to fans in the stands there at MetLife. If you could go hang out with Aaron Glenn, who's the head coach of the New York Jets, and I get it. Head coaching opportunities are very rare. There's only 32 of them. I know it's a cliche, but it's true. You think he'd rather be with Detroit? Because Detroit right now looks very, very good. Obviously, week 1 didn't go their way against the Packers, but Detroit in an NFC that feels pretty wide open, because I'm not sure anyone thinks that Philly's an absolute juggernaut. They look like they got a ticket, or at least going to be in contention right there for a ticket to Santa Clara, Super Bowl 60, and Aaron Glenn's coaching the Jets. I'm not so sure. He wouldn't tell you he wishes he was still with the Lions. This team has always been a dumpster fire, and everyone that goes there thinks they can turn it around. They drafted Geno Smith. He's going to be the guy. Wasn't. They drafted Sam Darnold. He's going to be the guy. Wasn't. They hire head coach after head coach after head coach. He's going to finally be the guy. Aaron Glenn, the latest one. And some organizations, to me, just seem kind of cursed. And the Jets are firmly in that category. I mean, they haven't been relevant in the NFL in 15, 16 years when they made those AFC championship games. Ironically enough, as Mark Sanchez was the quarterback. He's clearly going through a situation right now, but that's an organization I wouldn't touch. Like if they went one and done with Aaron Glenn and they fired Aaron Glenn, I would hope people close to Vance Joseph would tell him, do not take that job. It's just not good for your career to be the guy that you think can go turn the Jets around.
Yeah, I think you'd always want to be the guy versus taking orders from the head coach. I think you'd rather be your system. So I think a lot of guys would take that Jets head coaching job because, like you said, there's only 32 of them. It's very hard to come by. So I'll never say that someone shouldn't take the head coaching job versus be a coordinator.
Sure,
again,
it's a promotion.
You want to be the star. You want to be the guy calling the shots. You want to be the guy that thinks he can turn the Jets around. Real quick, though, we can make a little side bet if you'd like.
Okay.
Do you think the game's closer to a 4-point Broncos win or a 20-point Broncos win?
20.
All right, I'll take 4. So anywhere, and then obviously just wherever comes in the middle.
All right, so 12 is a push. 13 or more is me. 11 or fewer is you.
Deal.
That's totally fine because they didn't even play that well against Cincinnati. They had moments, but they didn't even play all that well, and they won by 25. I get it's London and all this and that, but I would think the Broncos are going to be all right. The 4859 on the RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043 says, Justin Fields' legs, the running game, Garrett Wilson, those are your concerns. Hey, valid. Justin Fields had an incredible touchdown Monday nights ago when they were going oppo the Broncos. Obviously, we were all watching the Broncos, and then Tyreek's knee did what it did, and that kind of got on our radar, but I know Justin Fields had a great run. Garrett Wilson's a good player, for sure, but PS2 locks down good players. That's kind of what he does, and I assume PS2 will be shadowing Garrett Wilson for most of the game. And then the running game, hopefully the Broncos are up for the task. Speaking of that, we got the injury report today, and there was some good news. The Broncos have activated the 21-day window for Malcolm Roach to return from short-term IR. He was limited today over there in London. I think Roach, criminally underrated, Dante. I think he's not only a key part of the D-line, but I think he's got a chance to play this game Sunday. That would certainly help in the run game against the Jets.
Yeah, he's great up front. He stops the run. He rushes the passer a little bit, just clogs it up the front, which the Broncos I don't think are like the biggest team up front. Like they don't have the Eagles Jalen Carter. Like they don't have someone like that quite up there. But
DJ Jones is a pretty big boy.
He's a big guy, but like the Broncos have still shown that they can get ran on.
Correct.
The Bills did it. We've seen other teams do it throughout the years or throughout the last season and a half here. That teams can run the ball a little bit on the Broncos if they want to, and maybe that's the lack of linebackers playing as well as they can, or the lack of what I point to is size up front. But so I think Roach is going to be a big addition to this team, especially against a Jets team where Justin Fields can run the ball. And that's always a threat, and you kind of got to load the box a little more. Hopefully Roach can ease that a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had that conversation last week about who's going to quote-unquote spy Jalen Hurts, and fortunately the legs of Jalen Hurts did not become a major storyline after Broncos-Eagles, and we'll hope for the same with Justin Fields this week. The Broncos are also listing Ben Powers as a DNP. Haven't put him on IR yet. That gives me a little bit of a hint of what's coming. We know based on our report from our guy Mike Kliss that Ben Powers is out till December, so he's going to go on IR at some point. How to get Roach back on the 53, you put Powers on IR. So that would be my gut as to why they're sort of dragging their feet on this, is they want to give it another 24, 48 hours, make sure Roach is really good, put Powers on IR, activate Roach to the 53. Only other thing of note from the injury report is that Jonah Ellis was a DNP today with ribs and a shoulder injury. Listen, Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, they're a dynamic duo, but the Broncos' depth at pass rush does remind me of the Super Bowl 50 team where you had Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, and then you could roll out the Shaq Barretts of the world, even Shane Ray. And I know people in this town aren't super fond of Shane Ray because he was a first-round pick and didn't quite work out, but Shane, his rookie year, was good. He actually was good, and Shane's rookie year was the year they did beat the Panthers and win Super Bowl 50. So I'm not saying, here come the Jets, because Jonah Ellis may not play. We'll have to monitor it over the next couple days, but I do think that's a sneaky one, Dante. Jonah Ellis, to me, I understand he's only in his sophomore season. That's a guy who could start on half the teams in the NFL. He's showcased that kind of ability. He's just behind really good players in front of him here in Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. He adds to the depth of the room, and he might be the reason that John Franklin Myers doesn't get a contract extension with the Broncos, because they feel so confident that they can just throw Ellis in there, and it won't be that big of a drop-off there. So the good news is the Broncos have depth there. They don't, it'd be great to have Ellis out there, but I'm not shaking in my boots if he can't be out there. If it ends up being a longer-term injury, then I think there might be a little bit of worry there, but the Broncos have shown they have a lot of guys that can get after the passer.
Yeah, and if he gets to limited tomorrow and gets to full on Friday, it'll be a total non-story, and he'll play on Sunday against the Jets, so we'll certainly keep an eye on it. But coming off that Eagles win, and I wrote about this afternoon at DenverSports.com, Sean Payton had a 21-minute presser today. He was in a very good mood. He was in a really good mood after the Eagles game. I don't know if you watched it, but I know a lot of people love watching the live streams of that. You could hear the music bumping from the locker room at Lincoln Financial Field kind of coming over Sean's presser on Sunday. And those press conferences post-game are like 5-6 minutes most of the time, and he went for 12, 13 minutes. He was up there holding court today. He goes for 21 minutes, and I sifted through all 21 minutes, and this to me was the most telling answer Sean Payton had all day, asked about how this squad's going to respond after massive win.
I understand the significance of last week's win relative to the opponent, and they're all units, and the first objective is to win the division. The second is to improve your seeding. And then last, play for a championship. That hadn't changed. So, just as we try to digest a loss and then flip the page, the same has to be said, with the win. So I think we have the right makeup and leadership to understand where the focus needs to be this week. I like that we're over here. I couldn't tell you or point in the direction where the hotel is, and that's fine. I'm still trying to figure out how to get around in the hotel, but it's the perfect setup. I like coming over here.
I mean, I love that he calls the win units, right? They're all units is the word Sean Payton used there, because he says the first objective is to win the division, second, improve your seeding, and then last, play for a championship. Sean spent all summer talking about the Super Bowl, and those comments were met with a lot of strong reactions then, of course, and even more so after Denver started the season 1-2 with those back-to-back heartbreaking losses to the Colts and Chargers. But that all changed this past Sunday when they stunned the Eagles in Philly, because when you erase a 17-3 fourth quarter deficit, leave with a 21-17 victory in thrilling fashion, I don't think anyone thinks Super Bowl talk is crazy or out of bounds. I'm not predicting it, but I'm not saying it's super far-fetched for these Broncos, and he sort of doubled down on that today. We heard him say last year, end of the season press conference, what's he want to do? I want to host playoff games. Today, what's he want to do? Win the division, improve your seeding. What happens when your seeding improves? You host playoff games, then play for a championship. Sean Payton, now 5 weeks into the season, is still talking like he was talking all through training camp. He told Troy Rank, I remember, we can't be afraid of the word Super Bowl at a press conference. He talked to all these national media writers. What do you make of Sean talking about? Yeah, we still want to win the division. We still want to improve our division, and we still want to win a championship. He's not shying away from big expectations.
No, he's not, and I like it. I think the Broncos are kind of right where we expected them to be. Maybe a little different course of action of getting there. I'm sure a lot of people had the Colts win instead of the Eagles win, but 3-2 was kind of what people were projecting. That maybe a Chargers loss and an Eagles loss. So still 3-2 is the record, and the division looks very much up for grabs. Kansas City lost as a favorite the other night in Jacksonville. The Chargers lost, I believe, also as a favorite to the Commanders.
Yeah, they were a slight favorite, like a field goal or so.
Exactly. So it's one of those where this division looks very much up for grabs again, and I like it. You look at power rankings across all kinds of media outlets, and it's a lot of top 10s. I know Colin Cowherd had him at number 3 in his herd hierarchy. So, and Colin and Sean might be buddies as well. That might play into it.
Yeah,
but
he's getting the little we're best friends bump there, but still, Colin's very well respected, and he attached his name to the Broncos being at 3.
Exactly. So I don't think it's crazy at all. I think at this point it's just about racking up as many wins as you can over the next couple of weeks, and then playing your best football come December. But I don't see any reason why they can't be in Super Bowl conversation at this point. I don't see a team out there that is in the NFL that is leaps and bounds ahead of this Broncos team.
No, I would agree with you on that. It doesn't feel like through 5 weeks there's one team that it's like, well, they're either going to hoist the trophy or they're going to be there. I mentioned the Lions. I think they're very scary in the NFC. But in the AFC, Baltimore's a dumpster fire. Lamar Jackson didn't practice today. He may not play this weekend. Derrick Henry suddenly looks very old, and I know people who have him on their roster in fantasy football have started to feel the same way. The Texans, underwhelming. The Chiefs, like you said, under 500. Cincinnati lost Joe Burrow for essentially the year. They're trading for Joe freaking Flacco. That's not going to go anywhere for them. The Colts are the number one seed in the AFC right now. Like if you offered me tomorrow, hey, Denver's got to go to Indy in the divisional rounder for an AFC championship game, sign me up, right? Like sign me up in a heartbeat. And I'm not going to double down on my disrespect to the Colts. That was clearly wrong. They're better than I realized. But I am going to say that Indy doesn't have me feeling like, we got to go to Arrowhead or we got to go to Buffalo. It just feels like it may be one of those years where the Final Four and even the Super Bowl are teams that folks going into the season thought were good, but maybe not juggernaut type good. Like if you got a Broncos Buccaneers Super Bowl, you probably could have bet that at 80-1 when the season started. And as we sit here today, if I had a crystal ball and told you, hey, Santa Clara is Denver, Tampa Bay, you'd go, probably wouldn't have predicted it, but it doesn't sound absolutely crazy either.
No, absolutely. And it's kind of switched this year where the NFC looks a heck of a lot better than the AFC does. The AFC, yeah, it's Indy, it's Buffalo, it's Pittsburgh, it's the injured Chargers, it's Jacksonville, which I don't think people are quite buying yet at this point either. So other than Buffalo, who we actually saw just lose to the Patriots in Buffalo as well, so that was a home game for them, and Drake May, second-year quarterback, was able to go in there and win on a roster that people, is improved from last year, but people are probably still projecting 8-9 wins for that team. Certainly, I would say a tier below what the Broncos are at this point in New England. So I think the AFC is very much up for grabs. I don't see why, if the Broncos, especially if they're able to win the division and get a home playoff game at some point in the first round, hopefully the second round too, I don't see why they can't make a run for the Super Bowl. You get to the NFC, and those teams scare me a little bit more, whether it's, Philly again. Philly's a very good team. They didn't play at their best, and the Broncos, had to come back and win that game still. But San Francisco is playing really well. Kyle Shanahan's a very, one of the elite coaches in this league. You go down Tampa and Detroit, who we've talked about. Green Bay looks like they could be a monster if they start playing well as well. So I think the NFC scares me a lot more than the AFC does, which, for the last 5-10 years, you probably would have flipped that.
Well, and here's the thing. It'd be house money if the Broncos go to the Super Bowl this year, right? Like at that point, I am just rolling the dice whoever it's against. Your point's well received, and I agree with you. The NFC is the stronger conference, but even just getting to the game would be like, oh my goodness, we haven't got to do this in this town since Peyton Manning in 2015. Just somehow even being in an AFC title game would be a massive, massive deal. Heck, winning a game and getting to the divisional round would be a really big deal. If we got to deal with the 15-2 Lions, we'll cross that bridge when it comes.
Yeah, no, I like the way Sean Payton's talking about his team, and I think maybe those early losses help the team humble themselves a little bit and, realign themselves with what the mission is and going out there and playing good football.
Yeah, certainly didn't want to lose the way they did, especially back-to-back weeks, sort of rip your heart out and stomp on it, but as I told Cello last night, I feel like those are firmly in the past, and I think the Broncos do as well. All right, let's hear from Bo Nix coming up next, specifically the resiliency that Denver showed in Philly, and look ahead even more to the New York Jets.
Has the Broncos hype train picked up speed after the win in Philadelphia?
You got Sean Payton. You got freaking Bo Nix, guys. Get on board or get left behind. Those are the only two options. Get on board or get left behind.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
I should have had Done Right do it. Don't be that person that says this after ordering your remodeling project. Hi folks, Dan Cicchini, owner of Done Right Kitchens and Baths, Windows and Doors. Simply put, we make people happy by being particular, just like you. 800-362-8370.
Cool nights are here and winter is on the way. Protect your home with the strength and beauty of Infinity by Marvin Windows from Gravina's Window Center of Littleton. This month only, save 25% on windows and 20% on James Hardy siding. With flexible financing, no interest options, and zero down. Upgrading has never been easier. Call today at 303-794-0490 or go to windowsforyourhome.com. Gravina's Window Center of Littleton, trusted by Colorado families for over 50 years.
Football is here, and Fitness Gallery's Fall Football Sale is your playbook for a winning home gym. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit any of our 7 stores from Denver to Fort Collins and score big before the sale ends.
Samantha Flanagan here for Flanagan Law. If you find yourself in a car accident, do not tell the insurance company you are fine. They will hold that against you even if you end up with medical bills 3 months later. Protect your rights. Look for the Shamrock. Go with Flanagan Law.
Her face lights up whenever you're around.
That's why the diamond you give her can't be like any other.
At Williams Jewelers, exceptional brilliance is in our DNA. I'm Bruce Williams.
And I'm Steve Williams. We grew up in the diamond business.
And as direct diamond importers, we personally hand select every diamond.
Going through hundreds at a time, looking for what really matters. Life.
Like people, no 2 diamonds are the same.
Some just sit there. And then there are those rare gems that explode with fire and brilliance.
A diamond that shines like no other.
And surprisingly, it's rarely about price. No one sells a more beautiful diamond for less. That's the Williams Diamond Guarantee.
So if you found the woman who loves like no other,
give her the diamond that shines like no other from Williams Jewelers,
where Colorado shines.
Williams Jewelers, we can make diamonds a part of your life.
The official jeweler of the Colorado Avalanche. Williams Jewelers, where Colorado shines.
Cake Mortgage Corp. Equal Housing Lender. NMLS number 1734623. Licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions apply. Are you a first-time home buyer? Are you trying to lower your existing mortgage payment? Do you need cash from your equity? For most people, getting a mortgage means endless paperwork and weeks of anxiety. But with Cake Mortgage, our process is simple, fast, and hassle-free. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or looking to tap your home's equity, our team guides you step by step so you always know what's next. Our thousands of 5-star customer reviews will tell you no one can do what Cake can. So stop stressing and start saving fast with Cake. Your fresh-baked cake home mortgage is ready to enjoy. So don't wait. Call 1-800-EAT-CAKE. That's 1-800-EAT-CAKE. Again, that's 1-800-EATCAKE. Or visit cakehome.com to learn more now.
Bonnie from O'Meara Ford has convinced me they really want to earn your business. So, talk to me, Bonnie.
Well, O'Meara has over 1,000 vehicles to choose from. Plus, we have the largest service center in the region with 84 service bays. And we've sold 1 million vehicles since 1913. Our friendly staff will treat you right. And when it comes to repairs, our knowledgeable technicians do it right the first time.
There it is. O'Meara saves you time and money, whether you buy new or used. O'MearaFord.com.
Payton Manning here. Throughout my football career, staying healthy was a big priority, but bumps, bruises, and injuries were part of the game. And for me, it's not just the clinical excellence and expertise that sets a medical team apart. It's also the compassion, kindness, and empathy they show. At Common Spirit Health, healing is quality care and human kindness. And my friends at Common Spirit are teaming up with their partners to spread human kindness and create healthy communities. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
Whether it's kickoff, halftime, or the final drive, fuel your football season at Dickey's Barbecue Pits. Order the Two Can Dine for $29.99 deal. 2 meat plates stacked with pit smoke flavor. Or go for the new Triple Play Combo. A classic sandwich, savory side, and a big yellow cup for just $12.99. No matter who you're rooting for, great barbecue is always a win. Dickey's Barbecue Pit, legit. Texas barbecue.
Are you one of those people who dread going to the dentist? If so, have you tried sedation dentistry? Learn more about sedation dentistry at coloradosedation.com. Sit back, relax, and dream with the most experienced sedation dentist and staff at Clarkson Dental.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
You guys are the best. RamosLaw.com text line on fire once again, 303-713-1043. If you want to get into it, won't be able to get to all these, but I want to do a handful before we turn it to Bo Nix. The 6453 says, I love how the game is seen as some sort of magical win, and it was, but on the other hand, I have to think that they just went out and played football finally. I understand what the texture's getting at. The Broncos played with an ease in that fourth quarter against Philly that we hadn't really seen. They had nothing to lose going into the game, but then I think they sort of woke up and they're like, well, it's 17-3. We flew all the way here. We might as well see what can happen. And they played a quite literally perfect fourth quarter because offense did what they needed to do. You score 18 points in an NFL game in a quarter. That is incredible. Defense got off the field for the most part, and then when Philly made it super interesting late, they made one last play, although Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown helped out a little bit. And then special teams. It shouldn't be too much to ask for Will Lutz to make a clutch kick down the stretch, but between the Eagles blocking all those field goals and Lutz's struggles against the Colts with the doink, or did he doink in Indy, or did it go just wide right? I can't remember exactly. But he had the big kick late that they needed that didn't go in. There was a weird view from the stands. It was like the ball had a flutter to it. It's like they're indoors. How does the football fly that way? But long story short, all three units were incredible. So I think what the texter's getting at is like the Broncos just went out there in the fourth quarter and said, let's just have some fun. And they had a lot of fun and got the dub. The 8575 says, the only way to handle is the cliche. We can only focus on what we control. We go out, play our game, knowing the other team on the other sides are professionals who get paid. Also, if you missed that, Dante and I interpreted what Sean Payton said today a little bit differently about the Jets. Dante thought they are overlooking the Jets because they told us they're not overlooking the Jets. I chose to take the Broncos at their word. And then the 7196 says, why is everyone putting a blind eye to Powers? I'm not putting a blind eye to Ben Powers. I'm not. I mean, the guy started all 40 games since he signed here in Denver. But I just think that Alex Palczewski's up for the task. I think he could start on other teams in this league. And I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but J.K. Dobbins looks like the best Broncos running back since Phillip Lindsay. Maybe since Javonte Williams in his rookie year. And then, of course, he shredded his knee in his second year. But I think the running game is going to be fine. I think Palczewski is going to slide in for Powers. I saw Quinn Miners told Kliss today that, yeah, it sucks, and we're rooting for him, but it is truly next man up because we're so deep, and I actually feel like the O-line is deep. Dante, anything you want to react to from those three texts? Just a sampling of what we've gotten as we're about 35 minutes in here to Denver Sports Tonight.
No, I just want to agree with you on the Alex Palczewski stepping in for Ben Powers. I think one injury this Broncos can sustain and be fine and still be, upper echelon offensive line. When you start stacking the injuries, that's when it becomes an issue. Like we've seen with the Chargers, they have 2 O-linemen, and that's when you start noticing it. So I think just one injury, we're good, but you're kind of you're running into some depth issues if anything else happens.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to poo-poo Powers here, but he's not Quinn Miners, who's an all-pro. He's not Garrett Bowles, who suddenly looks like the best left tackle in the league, and thank goodness the Broncos re-signed him. He's not Mike McGlinchey, who I know does struggle in some facets of the game, but is a veteran, is a leadership guy, had played on winners in San Francisco before he came here. If anyone was going to go down, I'd want it, not want it, that's too strong of a word. I'd not okay with it, but if I just had to power rank them, Powers and then Wattenberg would be lower on my list than losing a Bowles or a Miners or a McGlinchey would be.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it.
Yeah, but again, I'm not dismissing it. And if Alex Palczewski goes out there and looks like a traffic cone, then we'll have a different conversation next week. But for now, I think they're going to be all right. All right, so Bo Nix talked today and got asked about kind of the resiliency that the Broncos showed after, let's be fair, Bo wasn't good in those first 3 quarters. He was not up to snuff. And Bo said it himself post-game. He said, we punted way too many times. And now with a few days to reflect, here's what the QB thought, again, on Denver's resiliency.
It's just, I guess I played a lot of football, been in a lot of situations where things start well, things don't start well. Seen about it all at this point. And, our defense just continued to make us stop, so we just kind of had some hope, had some life there at the end of the game. And we just kept chipping away, found things that worked, and eventually put some touchdown drives together, and it's tough to win games like that, so it's good to get out of there with one.
So I actually believe him there when he plays the experience card, because Bo played a lot of college football. He played more college football than almost any other quarterback does before they head to the professionals, especially first-round picks, not guys that are just holding clipboards as fifth, sixth-round guys. I believe, Bo, that I'm sure there were games at Auburn and Oregon where he was down 2 scores and came back and won. That's where drafting a guy with so much experience, I think, paid off for the Broncos, especially in a hostile environment like Philly.
Yeah, absolutely. He still while he can look rushed at moments, it looks like he doesn't ever believe the Broncos are out of a game, which I love about him, that he always thinks that he's capable of commanding this offense and bringing them back. And, we've seen that. There's never been any, prolonged games in terms of consecutive games where he really struggles like that. The longest we've probably seen was to start his career, his rookie year, like those first, 3-4 games. And then he kind of, got into a rhythm, has looked much better since then. So I like that. Yeah, he's experienced, and he has that next play mindset kind of thing. He doesn't let what happened earlier in the game ruin, what the successful drives later.
Yeah, he has poise. Poise, for the most part, would be the word I would use. Now, against Tennessee, I didn't think he was real poised, but we dissected that left and right and sort of beat it to death, that I think he was trying to play perfect after the comments Sean had made. But I think that discussion is now out the window. You don't see him barking at people like he was barking at Lucas Kroll there in week 1 against the Titans. The 9351 asks an interesting question. Is Bo Nix closer to Trevor Lawrence or Josh Allen? He's closer to Trevor Lawrence right now, folks. He's not a top 5 quarterback as much as Sean wants him to be. Josh is probably the best quarterback in the NFL now that both Joe and Lamar are hurt. Patrick would like a word, but also Patrick's team is 2-3. He's closer to Lawrence, but also Trevor Lawrence is 4-1 and just beat Patrick Mahomes. So just to specifically answer the question, he's closer to Trevor Lawrence, but that's not some sort of insult. People didn't sit here and say, well, is he closer to Dylan Gabriel or Josh Allen? Being in the same conversation with Trevor Lawrence, sort of the 10th to 14th best quarterback in the league, that's not ultimately that insulting to Bo Nix, specifically because of the QB we've seen here the last 10 years.
Yeah, and I don't know if Broncos country is going to love this answer, but I'm with you too. I think he's closer to Trevor Lawrence. I would actually maybe have him slightly, maybe on par with Lawrence. I was going to say slightly behind. I'll go on par. I think they're pretty even. But yeah, Josh Allen's number one. I think if I'm going out there to win a game any given Sunday, I'd want Josh Allen on my team. So I think it's a hard comparison to make it to Allen. Lawrence is a lot more, apt comparison. You're, average quarterback that as long as other things are going around him well, they can go out and win you a game. And then every once in a while they'll go out or they can go out and play above the X's and O's and really, steal a W for your team.
Yeah. And Lawrence, for as kind of ugly as that Monday night game was, couple evenings ago, he made plays down the stretch, and heck, he fell over and still found a way to score the game-winning touchdown in the final seconds. Now, if you go look at the slow-mo, Chris Jones's effort was a little questionable. Apparently, Chris Jones deleted his Twitter. He was getting so much hate, but he frankly kind of deserved it. He totally gave up on the play when he probably could have tackled Trevor Lawrence. I will give you a little pushback, though. One game, you said one game, any given Sunday. I know it's not going to be popular in Broncos country. I still would take Patrick over Josh just because he's done it so many times. He's got the hardware to prove it. He's beaten Josh in the playoffs, including one of the most famous playoff wins ever, the old 13-second game. I'm not slandering the Wyoming guy. We all love Josh, but I would still take Mahomes over Allen if you made me pick for just one football game. Now, best quarterback overall, I think Josh has passed him. But if you said, hey, the AFC title game's tomorrow and your life's on the line, you want Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen as your quarterback? I would take Mahomes.
Yeah, well, I would take Allen in that situation. If you're asking me, do you want the Chiefs or do you want the Bills? Maybe I'll take the Chiefs. But if you're asking me just Allen or Mahomes, I'll go Allen.
All right. Well, one franchise is cursed, and the other one has had a handful of parades over the last few years. Coming up next, the Avalanche. Big start last night in L.A. They get a 4-1 win. Nathan McKinnon makes some history. Scott Wedgwood looks great. Cale Makar made a wild play, and Marty Necas gets a pair of goals. Dante and I will dissect it all.
With Ben Powers expected to miss significant time, how should the Broncos fill the hole in their offensive line?
We paid him a lot of money, and we hope to develop somebody else that can fit in there. Palcho has been a guy that they've talked a lot about, but he's the swing tackle and the backup tight end, and maybe that's too valuable. I'd like to see him get a chance in there because I think he's a really good player. I think he could be a really, really good player for the Broncos.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just one cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here. Based on analysis by Ookla of speed test intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025. Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 and monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Let's go! You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Annie's first oil change wasn't as hard as she thought because she went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner helped her find the right oil and save on an oil filter. He explained the job and showed her free how-tos on AutoZone.com. When she was done, AutoZone recycled her old oil for free. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Wow, Leslie, your fireplace really sucks.
I beg your pardon?
Well, what I mean is your fireplace is literally sucking all the air out of your house and right up the chimney every time you burn it.
Well, what can I do about it?
Well, you could get a high-efficiency gas insert from Cozy Heat. It keeps all the air you already pay the utility company to heat, and it returns up to 80% of the fire's heat back into your house.
I'd use my fireplace every chance I get if I could do that. Maybe my furnace wouldn't need to run so much.
Well, that's the whole point. Hi, this is Keith Lair with Lair Fireplace and Patio, along with my niece Leslie, to tell you how a gas insert from Cozy Heat will give you the incentive to use your fireplace again. Cozy Heat gas fireplaces and inserts are made to crank out the heat with beauty and style.
Lair's is Denver's oldest, most trusted name in fireplaces. Family owned and operated since 1954.
We'll even give you a free in-home quote, including expert installation by our own certified in-house installers.
Find us on the web at lairfireplacepatio.com.
For top quality Cozy Heat fireplaces and inserts, it's Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's fireplace experts.
Worried about market losses? If headlines are keeping you up at night, it's time to take control. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know you've worked hard to save. But in times like these, what if can turn into what now? If you're planning to retire or are in retirement, you need a strategy that helps protect your future. At Trajan Wealth, you can capture market gains, protect your account from losses, and guarantee income for life. Right now, you could receive a bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. You heard me right. An upfront bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10%, all guaranteed to boost your lifetime income in retirement. Don't leave your future to chance. Plan with confidence. Call Trajan today at 720-405-3300. That's 720-405-3300.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company, DBA, in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
This segment on The Fan is brought to you by Embers Golf, where your passion meets the green.
Stay up to date on the Broncos and the latest news from around the league with our NFL insider James Palmer, exclusively on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Mondays on The Rundown with Richie Carney, Tuesday afternoons on The Drive, and Friday mornings on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, all season long. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
Really fun way for the Avalanche to start the season last night. They take down the LA Kings by a final score of 4-1. If you made it to puck drop and throughout the game, good for you. A little bit of a struggle towards the end. I get it. It's October. Hockey's not on your radar, specifically at 11:30 at night, but season is underway, and it's another cup or bust year. Want to talk about this Avalanche game that we witnessed last night. Few things that jump to mind. First of all, Nathan MacKinnon passes Joe Sakic for most points in an Avalanche sweater with 1,016. He ended up getting 1,017 later in the game, but Joe, of course, is the franchise record holder. It's something like 1,600 points between the Nordiques and the Avs, but Joe played 7 years in Quebec before the franchise relocated to Denver. Dante, I feel like people ask us about Nikola Jokic a lot, but I don't hear it about Nathan MacKinnon a lot. Are we still somehow even underappreciating Nathan MacKinnon? Because when you pass Joe Sakic for points in an Avalanche sweater, that's a darn big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's put together, a bunch of great seasons here in a row, and I know the Drive had some fun with you when you were talking about McDavid's the best player in the NHL, and Zach corrected you with actually McKinnon's the best player in the NHL. But
it was like a 1 second slip of the tongue, but yes, they did call me out on it right away, as the Drive tends to do.
Yeah, of course. They're going to jump on you any chance they can, but I mean, to just even be considered the best player in an era, I think is, rarefied air. You don't hear that a lot. I wasn't in Colorado, and I probably wasn't paying attention to hockey enough. I don't even know if I was born yet when Sakic was playing, but was he? I'm assuming he was not considered the best player of his era. So, I mean, I think MacKinnon at that point, you'd have to underrate him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Joe was always in the conversation, right? He was always in the top 5 in the league, and he was putting up 100-point seasons rolling out of bed, and he won the 2 cups. He had the snipe against Marty Brodeur in Game 7 when Ray Bourque finally got a cup, But when you say Joe, people immediately go, well, Joe's Mount Rushmore, right? People always do the Mount Rushmore of Denver sports. And, John's obviously going to be up there, John Elway, and Joe Sakic's obviously going to be up there. And people think Nikola Jokic has gotten up there, which I think he has as well at this point in time. And then everyone always argues about the fourth guy. Is it Peyton Manning? Is it Terrell Davis? Is it Shannon Sharp? Is it Steve Atwater? And they're all valid names. But Joe, I think what I'm getting at, Dante, is Joe's like firmly cemented on people's Mount Rushmore. Like, for as great as Patrick Waugh was, and for as great as Peter Forsberg was, when people think of the 96 and 01 Avs, they think of Super Joe as the best player of those teams, and walked right into the Hall of Fame just like Nathan MacKinnon will. So that's why it's a really big deal when Nathan MacKinnon is breaking records that Joe Sakic once held.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's going to put him ahead of Sakic would be that second cup. I think leading this team to a second cup is really going to differentiate him to the point where it is the automatic Mount Rushmore. You got to put MacKinnon on there.
Interesting. Yeah, well, Joe has 2 as a player and, of course, 1 as a GM. So he kind of went the Elway route. He's got 3 overall, the front office and the 2 on the ice and the 2 on the football field. Other things from last night, Marty Necas had 2 goals. He cleaned up a great pass from MacKinnon on the first goal with an absolute snipe. Then when it was 3-0 in the third, really put it to bed with another snipe past our old friend Darcy Kemper. Cale Makar looked great, had an unbelievable move where I always like to say Cale Makar doesn't skate, he dances, because he danced right past the Kings defender, got in there, and Arturi Lehkonen cleaned up the garbage. And then Scott Wedgwood, in a year in which everyone says the goalies are settled, and I tend to agree with that. Heck, the goalies look settled last night. You're not even playing your starter because Mackenzie Blackwood is hurt, and Scott Wedgwood, I wouldn't say stood on his head. He had 24 saves, but he was a brick wall for the most part. The Kings couldn't solve him until, 4:53 to go in the game or something like that. So between MacKinnon making history and then Necas, Makar, Wedgwood, there wasn't anything to dislike about that Avs game last night, at least not in my eyes.
I don't want to lead with this, but the one thing I would dislike was the power play. I think the power play could have been a little better.
Sure, and everyone's hoping that's going to be an instant fix because they made the change at the coaching staff. But actually, you know what? That's a very fair point by you. The power play didn't look dominant like it should when you have this much talent.
Exactly, but I mean, Netchus, what a great job by him, and I think what he adds to the team is a lot of what we see when Jamal Murray is on. It just opens up the floor for Jokic to be Jokic, because obviously defenses want to key in on Jokic just like defenses want to key in on McKinnon. But when you have a guy like Netchus that's able to fly around in open ice, he's going to make teams pay for that. Just like Jamal Murray can make teams pay for that when they do that pick and roll and they double team Jokic going low. It's, hey, if you're going to let me open, I'm going to make you pay. So I think Netchus can do a lot of that for McKinnon. And then Wedgwood was great. Just complimenting on tops of compliments from what you just said about him.
Yeah, no, he looked really good between the pipes. But you said Netchus can make you pay, and he can. Did he make the Avalanche pay last night? I saw a lot of chatter on social media. Well, better get that contract signed sooner rather than later. I'll give credit where it's due. Zach kind of predicted, hey, if this guy comes out of the gates flying, the price is only going to go up. Now, it's only been one game. We'll revisit after 10, 15, 20 games. But 2 goals, 1 game, that's quite the pace. I'm sure his agent was sitting there last night, maybe with a cold one, going, oh, I like this a lot. And I'm sure Chris McFarland was sitting there going, I'm really glad we're winning, and I'm really glad he's playing well, but we need to get pen to paper sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's going to earn himself. He has the opportunity to earn himself a lot of money, especially this early part of the season. But there really is no incentive for him to sign, because it feels like there's going to be a bunch of money at the end of the season regardless of how it goes. And he can only earn himself a lot more if he does go out and have a 100-point season, or the Avs go out and win a cup, where at that point he kind of has the leverage on the Avs at this point. So I don't know if we're going to have a resolution to it before the end of the season in terms of a contract extension.
That scares me.
I hope there is.
Dante, we just went through this last year. That scares me.
I hope there is. It just doesn't quite make sense for both sides to agree to that.
2 pieces of devil advocate here. 1, injury is always a thing in hockey. You got to be careful. And then 2, yeah, there may be more money elsewhere, but do you really want to go take that money from the Ducks or the Sabres, or do you want to sign a 6-7 year deal where you're playing the prime of your career with a chance to hoist the cup every year? I don't know. That's for Marty and his camp to decide.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I would lean towards the Colorado route at that point, but, guys have different priorities.
Yep, they do. We know that in sports. Money and championships, those things can collide. All right, Phillies and Dodgers coming up next. For Dante, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Who has been the offensive MVP for the Broncos this season?
I know coming into the season it was, hey, RJ Harvey could be the starter by week 5, or some people were saying, hey, he'll be the starter week 1. No. There is one bona fide running back on this football team. I'd be scared to think where the Broncos would be if they didn't have J.K. Dobbins.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
You could save thousands of dollars on the products your business uses the most with the Home Depot's new Pro Extra Preferred Pricing. Registering is free and easy. Just have your tax ID or business or contractor's license ready. But don't wait. The current preferred pricing benefit will end on November 15th. Visit your local Pro Desk to register now and unlock the deepest savings on the products you choose.
Dan Jacobs with Jacobs Law on 303 Law 4040. Just got a great result for a client. Sam had another attorney who couldn't get her more than $20,000, so we took over the case and just settled it for $85,000. Another client, Travis, is like a lot of people. He likes doing business with a handshake in his word, not looking to sue anyone, but when the insurance company was playing hardball and refusing to even pay his medical bills, he called 303 Law 4040 and said, Dan, I hate to bug you, but they